I got it, come on. Did you get Elkie that written down that she's set for Thursday? He goes over this, yes, and you know.
Well, he should have, he should have done. And he only, when he went to 22 Central Street. Up there, he only ended up with one secret here, and there's two.
It's everyone, the Cambridge 24 is 1851. The state of the fire department.
Something.
Okay.
The state of the fire department, there's not 45 thousand pounds, 17 off on a 90-year-old male, breathing alert. The bathroom and the details of the, yes, the state of the fire department. It's on a 45 thousand road for 17 off on a 90-year-old male, breathing alert. Look at the bathroom. This is kind of $18. Whatever they want. Whatever they want.
ATM transfers.
Yeah, all the time, see a crap on this one.
Hopefully.
This just got.
Howdy.
How's it going?
Right.
Very good.
Thank
Big Will. How to make you. Mr. Stiegler, how are you?
Mark, how are you?
Good.
How are you? Can I get a membership? Thank you. Can't stay, but, roof looks great.
Oh, except for wrong color, but that's okay.
Well,
A lot cheaper than what I got quoted originally.
yeah, well, it's good. Excellent. The fence, if somebody says anything,
I saw the fence, and actually, there's still $2,000 in that Augie fund. So I'll get with Ron to purchase that one of them posts, and we'll put.
no, I got a post.
You're gonna post.
Yeah, and,
I've got a postal digger and I can bring tractor down or whatever.
I think it broke off at ground level,
Yeah, I think I just pull the stub out.
right, and put a new one in, so the rails look okay. If I run into trouble, I'll let you know, otherwise
Yeah,
I'm taking care of it, be it within the next week,
okay,
so.
not a problem at all.
All right, I'll see you next month, if not before, but.
Yep, be the second Tuesday, which is. That's the 13th on now,
13th.
May.
Oh, it's not Friday.
No, it's.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a great night.
You as well.
There he is.
Better than Lawrence. You said you weren't gonna be here.
I know, I was gonna be there, and you know what? I'm just sort of getting sick of driving in the sleet and freezing rain and snow, and I just said, I'm not doing it.
Well, we had sleet, freezing rain, snow, sun, and wind all in one like 20
Half an
miles.
hour. Yeah.
on the way home.
Yep, exactly. The same thing out the window here. So I'm sorry about that. I was gonna come over, but, well, I'm gonna try to reschedule, because if we're still planning to do that, RTP, I think,
Yeah.
a sit down is gonna take care of a lot of it.
So they have, whoops, where am I? Sorry. I put in our TP meeting, oh, it's June, that's fine.
Yeah, in Lancaster.
Yeah, so I'll be going to the Lancaster meeting on the 24th for RTP.
Good.
even though you're gonna be going to this, the class, they asked us as the club to go to one as well, just because, so.
Yeah, it's worth going, actually. I've been now twice, because I've been through this twice already. And I kind of learned something every time. And I did look at their application this year, and they've added a few things that are, kind of headache-like, that weren't there before, especially for those who are working on rail trails.
Yeah, yeah, so. Don't see anybody else there. I'm early still, I got through those. That was real winter spots, besides didn't have a lot of snow, but a little bit of snow.
We did, what, 14,000 in grooming,
Yep,
which I had 12,000 left over, so a lot more grooming than last year.
yep, but at least you had some this year where you didn't have like any last year, right?
I didn't get many personal miles on the sled, I did 50, but I got plenty of time in the groomers, so.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You
we
ever-
have better snow, much better snow this year.
Heard of what, Scott?
Do you know anything about the Northern Borders Grant Program?
Yeah, I do. Um,
She's a group.
Yeah, it's a really tough one. That one I'm not sure I wanna indulge in. I'm on the board of Jackson Ski Touring, and we have one, and it's just a nightmare. It's complicated, and it's complicated to do also. That doesn't mean that it can't be done. Are you considering it for something on the rail trail?
Not really, it's for the Snowmobile Club. I just heard
Okay.
about it, I know nothing about it, so I haven't even
Mhm.
investigated on it yet.
Yeah, for a snowmobile club on your trails, it'd probably be okay. I've tried, I've been interested in it, and their Timber for Transit one, because, using wood products for bridges and gates and, whatever. And they won't let me do it on a rail trail, or the DOT won't, because there's a 20-year encumbrance on the property that you do any improvements on. And so the rail trail could turn into a rail road technically at any time. So they don't want to have any kind of encumbrance on their property. So, I mean, it's almost like, we're not building a house on it. We'd be restoring it and everything, but that doesn't, they don't seem to see that. So I would, depending on what you want to do, I'd probably think about going for the RTP instead. It's less money. I think it's 100,000 maximum, or that where the Northern Borders can be a lot more.
I'll look into it, just see what it's all about.
Yeah, it's definitely worth looking into. And if you're not dealing with the rail trail, it might be a lot easier.
We did put a warrant article in the town, so the Littleton Clubs is going to lease the property right on the rail trail at Riverside Drive and South Street for 5 years.
That's the one you guys were trying to get before?
Yep. We didn't get very far with the selectmen, so we went around that route and had the town vote on it for us.
I saw that. Yeah, congratulations on that. I
Thanks.
remember, I talked to Clinton once about that. He had mentioned something about that a year or so ago, that there was thought about it. I'm glad to see something's happening.
Yep. I was just working out all the lease details with the new select board, 'cause they went from 3 to 5.
Oh, yeah. So we got two extra select board.
Three new select boards and new town manager, so we're starting all over.
I guess I'm gonna leave. So we'll call, I don't see Christine, but anyway, call to order at 7:01. I'll read the secretary's report only because I'm the only one that can read it, because I'm the only one that's got it. So this was our monthly meeting Tuesday, October 8th of 24. I read the meeting minutes from before. Matt motion to accept the meeting, Frank seconded. I read the treasury report, which is furnished upon request. If you guys want that at any point, that's fun. Fine is old business, the poker run. Was a beautiful day, best turnout since I've been president. We sold 65 hands, $650 went to the Augie Fund. We talked about a cap and we tabled it till see how things went next year. Thanks to Frank Stiegler and friends for lunch. Thank you to Ron Holbert for obtaining bucket raffle donations. Thank you for Christine Smith for the check-ins and recorded poker hands. At that point, we were still hunting for a side-by-side. We kind of talked about only looking at a 4-seater, so you can do a crew work, etc. Lisbon Trunk or Treat was 10/31. At that point, we were looking for candy donations, etc., etc. Matt thanked Mark, Jody, and family for all their efforts on the poker run and the club. I went to the Bath Town Select Board meeting. The town lawyer said that they weren't going to do anything as far as a town hearing.
How's Christine's waiting to come in?
Hold on. They weren't gonna hold a town hearing for the crossing. Bureau of Trails needs a town hearing facilitated by the committee. I provided all the paperwork and info on it. We will come back to that shortly. For town Bath. Hi, Christine.
Hi, how are you?
I've only got about halfway through the last meeting's meeting minutes. So you're good. You haven't missed much at all, so.
Okay, good.
Let me just put that there so I can keep an eye on it. Trail Masters report, calcium chloride tank, drained and put away for the winter. Went and looked side by side with me, but we didn't buy it. Looking at an offset mower. We had some repairs done to the lane chart. The tractor has 64 hours on it and we'll be doing a 50-hour service soon. New business, club would be flail or ditch / bank mower. It would cut the grass further, cover more distance quicker. Estimated use to groom the entire trail would be a couple times a year. And the state only boom mows it every 3 years. Frank made a motion to spend up to $5,000 on a flail or ditch mower. Mary Ann second, all in favor. Opening a new savings account, something to think about it. Basically, we would separate the Augie's fund account and a day-to-day account. That's $1,000 minimum to open, and you get a 0.1% annual yield on this stuff. We're good still. You can go on this side if you want, man.
No, there's 2 people waiting, so I'm just gonna.
What? Here, yeah, you can come in. I don't see a second one, unless there be they pop back out. But anyway, so that was tabled last year. Candy budget for trunk or treat. Matt made a motion to spend up to $300. Cassidy seconded, all in favor. Mary Ann asked about the surfacing project. Bath to Lisbon is the worst area. Bath Bridge after the gate always gets wet and messy. We may need a culvert to divert the water. Talked about putting it where the mill houses are to keep the dust down. No calcium chloride put on the trail since May because it'll impact the snow. The snow on the hard pack versus the lighter colored material didn't seem to make a difference. Matt and Ken are working on getting permissions from landowners. And if permission granted, creating trails on these lands to be determined. Matt thanked, Ken, Ron, and Chuck Decato on all their work for the trails. No November meeting, Frank mentioned, okay, sorry, I can't talk tonight. Frank Stigler made a motion not to hold a November meeting. Seconded, all in favor, next meeting is today. Meeting was adjourned at 7:50. Any questions on that? Discussion,
Make a motion to approve.
second? Second is by Scott. All in favor? Carried. Treasury report,
Yeah.
we've had quite a bit from the last meeting. I can go through them all if you guys don't mind. Our balance was October 7th was 32,732.48. We had bills of $118,660.79 and deposits of $108,081.89, leaving us an ending balance of $22,153.58. Of that, there's about $90,000 in gravel. That Grant and Dave put the money in and we wrote the check back out, that's why it's so large. At any point, I have the breakdown if anybody wants, I can put it up. It just, there's 4 pages. So, a lot of it is Grant and Dave coming in and going right back out, so, again, if anybody wants it, it's here. I can provide it on request, Scott knows why I'm saying that so many times. Yeah. Do you need a motion to accept it?
No, not that.
Okay. Trail Masters report, haven't done anything since spring,
No, the only,
or fall, I should say.
the only thing I have, at the end of the year, we closed up the gates. We have had, a couple issues coming up, with people coming out by Hardshaw's, so Mark's gone out and put some flagging out. Mark and I talked about putting a gate right there, but we have to be cautious of the walkers and bikers, making sure that they have a way to still get out of there, but stopping the ATV traffic from coming out on doggies. And Mark and I went up and spoke with Clint and Craig and Lancaster. Per our MOU with the state, we're supposed to meet with them once a year, before the season, just to go over what everybody's doing, and that meeting went well.
As well as could be.
Well, yeah, as well as it could be, and so, yeah, Mark and I are just working on trying to get a wish list of things together for grant and aid, because the applications came out. So we'll start working on that here.
Did yours do May 2nd too?
No, 4th.
Okay, ours is due May 2nd.
You're interested, so you don't have to mail it. I'm working in Littleton at Fishers. I'll probably be going down on the May 1st or 2nd down there. I can deliver it for you if you didn't wanna, mail it.
Yeah, so that's kind of where we are right now.
In that meeting, we did talk about leaving the bigger gates open. Haven't heard back yet whether yes or no. It was trying to tell us when we got that far.
The big gates on the railbed.
All but 16.
Long as any access road stay closed for the Jeeps and stuff, to keep them out of there, but
Yeah, we're kind of telling them we'll police it ourselves. If we get a Jeep in place where they shouldn't be, it'll be closed.
okay.
We're trying to appease some of the other
Wider machines.
I've got quite a few there. What are you gonna do about the gates? What are you gonna do about the gates? We can't do a dang thing about the gates.
One of the
Not
biggest,
us.
I'd say one of the biggest things and complaints we have about the trail system is there's so many gates. And so last year I had asked the same question to the state, and it was a hard no. about opening some of the gates. So
And then
there's 42 gates total between Littleton and. And so,
And so part of that, I'm sorry to interrupt you for a second, part of that is, they said if one's open, they're all open, but if one's closed, they're all closed. But the washout 302, that's been open for 2 years.
yeah, so.
They couldn't use that argument.
So one of the, so I'd gone through and marked out, I identified 16 of the gates that I thought were needed to stay closed, which would be on your main roads, some of your back roads. And any place like somebody might be able to get in with a Jeep or a car or whatever, they're not gonna get very far, and then they're gonna have to back all the way up because they're gonna get stuck there anyway, because it's not gonna be open on the other side, so. So I was trying to figure out the best spots for that. And open enough, but not everything, so it's free for all. One, and last year was a hard no. This year, in talking with them, I had mentioned, again, we had the washout here, that because the state. I don't want to say refuses to fix, but they're waiting for, they're waiting for that trail to just go away.
We're waiting for a catastrophic finish and we can do it on an emergency basis and not fill out the thousands of dollars in
Permits.
permits.
So and they say it's not impeding the trail enough, which if they have to leave the gate open on year round because it's not safe, to me, that's an issue, but anyway, so I asked how many cars had driven down that section and how many complaints we had, because it was wide open all year long.
That's main
There was,
road.
there was none. And so they said they would take it under advisement, and I was gonna follow back up with them. But I wanted to give them some time to discuss it internally as well, so just kind of waiting to hear back on that, but.
And Craig, the chief is out on medical now too. Don't know if he's back yet, but when I called to ask him about it a little bit, he was out on medical leave, so we left him alone for a while.
Yeah.
We'll touch back in before the season opens and see.
And I did propose it as a trial basis, so if there are complaints, then we will.
Well, he was saying he's gonna leave it open for Jeeps and stuff like that, and so as soon as somebody gets in there with a Jeep, we'll close it.
Yeah.
Which hopefully they don't, but. Hopefully they get stuck, if they do get in there with a Jeep, they get stuck enough so we can figure out what it is.
Their biggest thing they had was trash dump. So down in the southern part of the state, they've had an issue with people dumping trash. And I said, well, the southern part of the state and the northern part of the state are two different animals. I said, one, if somebody wants to go four-wheeling, there's plenty of dirt roads and class 6 roads that they can go four-wheeling on. They're not gonna go down the railroad, but down south is probably the only place that has maybe a little bit of mud. And there's a reason that Tawas and Grafton are allowed to run on the roads and the southern part of the state's not, so. They couldn't really argue that. And like I said, we proposed it on a trial basis just to see, because it's, other than. You know, the gates there's so many of them, it doesn't make for an enjoyable ride, so trying to figure out how to. You know, compromise with the state to allow something to happen. And the gates aren't a requirement of RSAs, of any kind of RSA. It just, RSA states that they need to be posted as off-road vehicles or off OHRVs only. So we're just trying to come up with a happy medium for everybody to be happy.
We offered to sign every open gate with OHRV only, 65-inch maximum width per RSA.
Yeah.
And just appease, I mean, it would cost a couple some money for the signs, but it would appease them.
So we're trying, but that's kind of the biggest thing.
So, yeah. Obviously trails are gonna open up May 23rd. Trails meaning probably Hammerland. Augie's is an automatic. The loops will be
We'll see how.
possibly, depending on how far underwater some of that is. You've been over there in the middle of August and it's still wet. So. So that's what that is. Yes.
Just a side note on the Hamland access. I did get permission from the Alaquas and stuff to reopen the snowmobile trail from Mount Eustis. So we will be probably putting some type of signs or possibly barricade there at Industrial Drive so the four-wheelers don't go in there like they did. And that's what reason it got shut down years ago.
Oh, where they had the
Can we
original,
put a gate there for the summertime?
We gotta do something, yeah, because I know what's gonna happen.
Yeah, I'd rather put a gate there, 'cause
so what we can do is, so we have a gate that doesn't, that's not in place anymore.
Okay.
We can put the gate where you need to put it for the summer,
Right at the road, yep,
move it at the, basically when we close, we'll move that to where, behind Shaw's for the winter.
Yep.
That way you don't have to buy a gate, we don't have to buy a second gate.
Yeah, notice the size that you put up, somebody can snowmobile through there.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Drive by.
That's not-
yeah, it's only,
Yeah, it's just the,
if there's no path there, somebody can go.
Exactly.
Yeah.
we took the Tucker up there, tried opening up, but, when they shut down the trail, they put piles of rocks in the trail, so we couldn't get through there with the Tucker would move the rocks, so that's one of our summer projects. But again, that trail is open, but again, they're concerned about ATVs again, so we said, yeah, we'll do something for that.
Does that go, that goes up the power line, right? That doesn't go up in Hammerland, doesn't that go skirt up the sides? Or are you rerouting it up through Eric's?
Not sure, we're just keeping the existing trail where it was. It's been years since I've been on it, so I can't remember.
Actually, I think it goes right up the side of the power lines, and it,
Yeah, cause we got Bernie's there and it goes up through, goes off, goes right up the hills.
and I think it cuts in at the top of Eric's. Back in and then goes up
Yeah.
behind the water tap.
But like I say, we can.
I mean, it's been, I've been up there in 15 years.
We aren't using that gate in the summer, so that'll take care of that, putting.
Yep.
Yeah.
Great,
So I'll make that note, if you guys wanna get together, cause the gate's at his house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, if you need it, we have a 4x4 that we can supply to you.
we get ton of leftover wood from last year bridges, so.
Yeah, 4x4, 6x6.
Whatever they are.
Telephone poles,
Yeah.
something that's good.
Actually, I made that phone call too, but they haven't called back yet. They actually cut them in 8-foot sections, which is, no, don't cut them that small. But, so that's what we have there. We, like I say, we haven't done much. As far as anything else over there, so. Try to stay off the snowmobile trails for the guys. We'll move on to old business. We're still waiting to purchase a flail mower. A ditch and bank flail mower. We're just waiting for it to show up with the. We didn't buy it last year, they're gonna, have us like that, so before. They worked with us on the forks last year. They took care of the tax because they delivered it to us, quote unquote. So that saved us quite a bit of money on those. We just decided to table indefinitely the other club savings account. Augie's roof and the sign has been done. The old business, we did purchase a side by side, we'll talk about that in a little while. We do need to sell a 6-wheeler. I have someone interested in it, but I'd have to send them some pictures and things and go from there. Trunk or treat, we've had more kids than the previous year, we had 0 candy left. Within a couple pieces that I think that might rotate. But it is what it is. Anybody have any questions on the old business? When they did Augie's roof, they also, they weren't asked to, but they actually re-roofed the, sign at Augie's too. So that has a metal roof. So it was kind of cool. I went by and I'm like, wait a minute, they weren't gonna do that. It was all in price, so it's perfect. So new business, I guess. If nobody has any old business. I don't see anybody waving. So new business, we're working on, like I said, we're working on grant need. I went to the Haverhill Select Board last night. To start the permission grant and aid stuff for Morse Road, on the lakeside end of Morse Road. That's a class 6 road in Haverhill. Snowmobile, you're fine going across it, but when you go across on ATV, UTV, anything like that, you're coming from basically a tabletop piece of ledge drops in, you wind up smacking the front. So you gotta push your way through to get to the next one. And basically, we're just gonna fill in the low spots, leave the high spots alone, just so you don't smash. And it's not gonna take much in that, but I was also asked, why don't we look at by one of them? I was asked by one of the former select board members that lives on Tewksbury Road, what if you guys, instead of coming off Morse Road to Tewksbury Road, if you continued on Morse Road and came down further, which we'll have to look, see if that's even feasible. But last time I looked at that, there was a fairly large, they had made a driveway, but they didn't make the rest of the road smoothed out, which was a really tall piece. It is what it is, we'll have to look at it. Like I say, we're just going through, trying to figure out what we need to do for grant aid and what they'll do for us. We really haven't looked at where and when on anything really. Other than I wanted to do more, wanted to start it on Morse Road because it takes them 2 weeks to get the meeting minutes back from the town. So if I didn't do it last week, it wouldn't have been in time for grant aid. That's why, and then if we get it good, if we don't, we'll just do it all, so. New Hampshire ATV Club, they're coming for their annual ride April 26th. They usually park at Littleton parking area and head south. This year they're supposedly stopping at Mikey's for lunch, but I don't know that for sure. They're usually 50, 60 machines, so. Last year I was standing on the trestle bridge when they all came through, so. So the Bath Village School will be doing their annual walkathon on May 3rd on the trail. They will post signs and asked us to just try to get the word out to anyone who may be riding the trail that day. Last year they walked down to the Bath Covered Bridge and onto the trail there, and then walked the trail on either direction a ways, but they don't usually tell me which way they're going, but they might be able to figure something out that day. So I signed us up for a Haverhill Community Night, which is taking place in the middle school on May 7th. We have stickers, tattoos, and coloring books. The coloring books were provided to us for kids, and info to hand out about the club. Basically, that's another way to get us out there. Lisbon Lilac Festival Parade is May 24th. The theme is Once Upon a Lilac. Need to figure out if we'll do the tractor or trailer for a float, or just take the side by side, decorate that, and have the others ride. Basically, it's fairy tales, storybooks, etc. And we'll talk about maybe a budget about that one tonight. Poker Run, which is way out there, but October 4th, is that the same as your car show again?
I'm not sure, I can't,
Hopefully not, but October 4th is the only weekend.
oh, the Lisbon, the Littleton one, that's usually last week in September.
So we're good.
It's like I
So,
said,
yep,
the partial's usually like my birthday-ish.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
we're usually
usually the next weekend, that's how we.
So October 4th is actually, because of how we did it this past time, that's about the same time. But it's a good turnout, so
Yeah, well, pretty.
if we get started earlier, I think it may be better.
I need to jump back to old business. We've paid for the gravel for the surfacing. Right now, chief is waiting for road bans, and then we're the first one on his list. So I knew that was gonna be a question soon.
Of course, thank you.
And we probably won't do as much this year, surfacing wise. We'll still put in for some of it, but we probably won't do as much. Only because we have a couple other things that we would like to put in for, in a different spot, but, definitely we'll continue on the surfacing. So. but
Excellent.
I'd like to bury all of that black coldness type stuff at some point.
Well, it's really worked out well because you started with the worst. So every time you do another mile of the worst, the whole trail just gets better. Because what's worse now is nowhere near as bad as what some of the other places were. So there's a huge improvement from your work. So thank you for that.
But yeah, like I say, last fall, he basically ran out of time, and he wound up running out of material with getting the bunch of the floods out, is what really took the toll on the material. So when you put 100 truckloads into one hole in St. Johnsbury, it's a lot of material.
That's a lot. Yeah, definitely.
Anybody have any questions on the new business? So I guess the only thing, because we'll have another meeting before the 24th of May, but we wondered about a budget for the Lilac Festival.
Or did you 300 last year?
I
Yeah,
think we did 300 last year. That was with the tractor and the trailer.
yeah. We need
used the tractor and the
you
trailer.
need to get the side by side.
She was thinking just the side by side.
It's just smaller, so you don't really have to do much, but
I'll make a motion to spend up to 300. So that's what we did last year.
Any discussion on it? All in favor? Anyone opposed?
No.
The second was Tom Roger, Christine.
Thank you. Got it.
So 300. Poker Run pays for itself basically, so we'll have to have a budget. We'll just take it out of it.
and the only thing that really sometimes you have to get like the condiments and stuff like that,
Well,
but that's like barely anything.
Right, but I mean, you have your advertising for it, and,
Yeah,
but we can set that later on if we need to.
Yeah.
Fine. Nothing wrong with it.
we did that ad in the
Yeah.
bridge, that was like $80.
Yeah, which I forgot to pay till
This had stuff going a
Yeah.
lot.
Before I forget, take these with you.
Okay.
Jody has some small ones if you want some of those. There, but. Well, the reason I want to start with Morse Road, and I think they meaning the power line people, did they fix that pretty much to get across on the power line side?
Yeah, that's like a natural highway now almost.
Yeah, but like I say, I still want to get across Morse Road to the lakeside side of that, because I know that's rough on that side.
Yeah,
Just basically fill in the holes is all I want to do. I don't care that it's bumpy and all that. I just want to fill in so you don't smash.
yeah. So, is that the main route that you want to continue on, or do you want to come down the power line a little bit and sneak out on Bear Road,
I mean,
Hilltop? I mean,
technically, I don't know if we actually have permission for that power line. I'd have to check into that. Being it's still in Mountain Lakes, and I don't know who owns the ground, you know what I mean? So, I mean,
Dave, I know Dave Long, I'm 99% sure he owns part of that goes to Hilltop, and then it does come off the power line, so I know Ron had asked you or asked something. I was gonna bring that up to you later in a conversation.
yeah, so I went to Town of Haverhill to get that part of Morse Road so we could fix it.
Mhm.
Just that way, if we need to, we can, and then go from there. But I do wanna get that so we can get the maxes easier. In other words, you got a very, very, very amateur, very new ATV user. You don't have to be very technical to get across that to get to Max's side.
Nope, I agree.
So,
Yeah, something we'll definitely work on for sure.
like I say, might have to park tractor at your place for a little while, move up there a little bit here and there, so.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
So, Mary Ann, did you have something?
Yeah, I wondered if we should add a little bit of discussion on the RTP grant that you're considering as part of the new business.
Yep, I can do that. Basically, we were looking at replacing, I think the first year was 10 gates. Under RTP. Hoping they would leave them open, then we'd only have to change another 6 the year after. But if not, we'll change the 10 to start with. And then we'll continue with 10 each year going through. They would wind up looking like the new section above Littleton, so you don't have, what it is now is the gates that if you open a gate, you actually have to hold the cross tube to get it out of the way. Up there, you can just unbolt it and swing it.
Right, the swing gates, they're so much better for everybody. You don't break your back doing those things, especially for you guys, because you have so many of them. So
Yes.
have you decided where the 10 gates are? Are they all kind of in a row or are they scattered all over the place?
I don't think at this point it really matters. I think we'll start on one end and I think those gates, it makes sense to keep them in, just pick 10 gates and.
Yeah. So
Okay.
Start at the Littleton, I'd start at the Littleton side and
work our way
work
back.
our way toward Lisbon.
Okay, that actually works good because part of this grant, you have to send in the distance that you're going to work. And you send that in for historic review and for endangered species review and all this stuff. So, if we're due the full 20 or 19 miles, that's a lot of review. So if you scattered the gates, we'd have to do the whole thing. If you do the 10 in a row, then that limits us to, I don't know how many miles you're talking about. It was one of the things they added to this grant this year was that you need to take a valuation map out on the rail trail with you and mark all of the culverts and, mileage markers or whatever is out there. I have done that before, but, doing 19 miles of that is a lot more time and energy than doing a shorter piece. So, I would suggest that if you're doing them, do them in clusters, rather than spreading them out. Find the place that's most logical and, starting at one end and working the other makes a lot of sense. Do you know the approximate cost per gate?
I do. Give me 1 minute.
I want to say it was like 3,200, but Mark's got the quote.
Okay, doesn't have to be exact. I mean, that's just enough so I kind of get what,
No, I believe Matt is right on it. Although I think I wound up deleting a whole bunch by mistake, but I think they're 30, I think that it's 3,200, I believe.
Okay, that's good. And then would your club be involved in taking the old ones out and putting new ones in, or would you be hiring a contractor to do that?
So is that an installed price?
So the 3,200 per gate is an installed price.
Installed by who?
The guy that made the gates.
So,
Okay,
So the only thing we don't know about is the removal. We talked to Clint and he didn't answer us as to whether he wants us to put the new gates in. But he wasn't sure about who was gonna pull the old gates out. So I don't really have an answer for that. We can ask the guy to give us a price to pull them out, because he's gonna have to be there to dig holes anyways with equipment. But there's so much concrete there on the old posts that I don't know how much of a pain it's gonna be to pull those out, so.
Yeah.
Clint didn't really wanna pull them out, just because,
And he definitely wanted to pull them out. I said, I'll just cut them off with a torch.
yeah, he
And
wanted
he
to pull.
didn't, he didn't like that answer.
Yeah, so I don't know how much to pull those old gates out.
Now, that steel in the old gates is probably worth something. So I would think that in the bid that if they're pulling them out, that there should be some, I don't know, if they're the ones that own it, you know, that they give some kind of a discount, because I would think that, you know, steel right now has to be probably going up in value since
Yeah.
with the tariff thing. So those are probably quite valuable. To, you know, at least that we think about that, you know, we're not just going to let someone take it away. Because there's some money in that.
Clint was actually talking about digging the cement up and taking it all in one piece, I believe, wasn't he, Matt? Is what I was thinking.
Yeah, because they talked about maybe reusing them.
That's
other
what
places.
I was confused,
Yeah,
because if that's the case, then I would wind up having a contract with like Eric and Hammerdown, come down with this huge bucket loader. Just come in with the forks and pick them up out of the way and go.
He's got the track. The
Okay.
track.
Yeah.
so it's 3261 was the estimate per gate.
Can you send
Okay.
that?
Installed.
Yep.
Okay, great. And it's painted and everything too?
I think they're exactly the same as, it's the same guy that made the ones that you guys put in further up.
Okay, because I think those needed painting, so someone had to go out and paint them. So one of the things that, you know, I'm thinking is here, we would have to do 20% match on this, and that can be in labor. So things like painting gates, we have painting gate party one Saturday afternoon, we can probably, you know, get it done. And that would be, you know, part of the match. Do you have to do a match like that for the GIA?
So, materials, no.
Labor and delivery.
Yeah, so we have a delivered price, we have a weird thing, we have a delivered price in ground, so it doesn't show separate, but.
Yeah, we work.
So
Oh, it's-
rentals, equipment purchases, any type of labor basically, where you rent a machine is a 20% match also.
Okay, so you guys are gonna probably, you know, take care of the budget part of this thing.
Right.
Because you're probably well more experienced than I am on it. I've only done 2. So you've done GIA stuff all the time, so that would be great.
Usually we try to stay away from anything that has to do with like, this club anyway, has to do anything with labor, we try to keep away from it. We have a delivered price on our gravel, so it's in there, so that's all covered.
Mhm.
We, the gravel this year that's being put down, is a, in-place price. So in other words, Chief is, selling the gravel, delivering the gravel, putting the gravel down, rolling the gravel, and all in the ground, a per yard price of the gravel.
Excellent. Will the trail get some grading beforehand?
What's that?
Will the trail get some grading before he goes in there?
Yeah, he'll go in and grade a little bit first, like, so that he can put down, and then what happens is they grade as the trucks are coming,
Mm-hmm.
grade ahead, and then they lay it out after the fact.
Okay. Yeah, and that one place there that's just north of the gate, north of the bath covered bridge. You had mentioned it in the notes last time, and I wanted to mention it again. I walked in there a couple of weeks ago when we had that really big rainstorm, and that area, the water was just pouring off from, you know, the road. Is it Railroad Street or something up there? It was pouring off of that in culverts, and it just going right across the trail. It was a swamp. I mean, there were places that if I wasn't careful, I would have been over my boots in the water, how deep it was in there. So that probably should, this is a good time to fix that, if possible.
They're gonna be right there, and I mean, worst case scenario versus a culvert, which,
Yeah, we talked about either culvert or we talked about putting in some crushed gravel and raising that whole area up.
Yeah.
try and get it out of the
Out of the
low
water
area.
lane.
Yeah,
Yeah, and you know, dig the ditch so that when the water comes down, it goes down the ditch. There is a culvert there, but it's fairly small. It didn't look, you know, look like, I don't know, 8 or 10 inches, and there was hardly any water in that because it was going over the top of it. So,
It's probably plugged up or collapsed, one of the two.
yeah.
So if you can replace it with someone else.
And-
Yeah, yeah.
So here's some more questions for you. A GIA grant, is it a reimbursement grant? I mean, you paid chief and then you got the money from,
Yes.
okay, so do you have to take a loan out to do that?
So there is what they call what is that?
it's called a cash advance.
Yeah, there's advance spots.
Yeah,
So what happens with that one is up until they changed the rules. So gravel is paid at 100%. Well, material, we'll call it. So we'll use $90,000. So you ask for a cash advance, but you get an invoice from chief that you haven't paid yet, obviously, because you can't pay him. You send that into the state, they give you 70%, 75%.
75%.
So they pay you 75%. You write that check to chief, get the canceled check back, send to the state, they send you back to 25%.
Okay,
That's
All
why if you saw my,
Quite the process.
if you saw the treasury report, you'd see.
It's a lot of back and forth.
It's weird. The treasury report, which I threw over here somewhere. So the first cash advance, which is somewhere here. The first cash advance. Well, the second cash advance is $22,347.50. The other one was like $62,000. So the first one was $67,042.50. So that was the check on February 14th. It was when it cleared the bank. The deposit for it was January 23rd. So it takes a minute to get it back and forth.
yep,
It was even more fun when we didn't have direct deposit. So you were waiting, they only write checks they write physical checks every 2 weeks. At the
yeah,
state.
yeah.
So
okay.
if you missed it by a day,
Yeah, you wait 2 weeks.
month, then you had to get the check, you got the check deposited, send it to chief, he keeps it for a couple weeks. Send the proof back, they get it a couple weeks.
And yeah, so this is a long process.
We were almost all the way till the next, grant and aid session before we get it all paid out.
Oh, geez, oh my goodness. Well-
With direct deposit, it's the next morning.
Yeah, with
After-
RTP, unless they change it, what I was used to, for what I went through, it was all reimbursement, so I had to pay the bill with
Yes.
our own money. You know, because I guess they have there's a way you can get loans, I guess, but I was able to pay it with, Cross New Hampshire money. And then they reimburse, but they reimburse quarterly. So you might pay the bill and you wait a while for that to come back. So I just, I warn you about that one. If they change it, we'll learn about that when we go to the training session. I don't know if they plan to or not, but it is sort of an issue because, a lot of clubs, especially it's $100,000 grant, So, and with mine, I got one bill from the contractor in my case, it was $56,000. And I had to pay that and then show them that I paid that. And then they reimbursed me eventually. So
the good part is with the ATV club, Nova has Nova themselves will float you a short-term loan through Mascoma Savings Bank,
okay, excellent,
which is good. Because that way
excellent.
there's not a lot of interest in it all. Basically, it's a secured loan through Nova.
Okay, excellent, okay.
which helps with that RTP.
Okay. Okay, here's another one. Are the gates materials?
They
You know,
should
like
be.
the gravel is material, so you didn't have to have a match on that.
I have to, I'll ask that question when we go to RTP.
Yeah,
There's a material.
Yeah.
you'd
then-
think it'd be a material, right? But maybe they have a different category or something.
Well, the wood decking, wood decking is 100%, is your, do you put steel in it or no?
Yep.
Is your steel 100%?
Yeah.
So I would say that's a material 100%.
Okay, that's good. Excellent. Okay.
On grant date, I don't know on RTP.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
That's 100%.
And then, are you a 501c3?
No.
Was that, I'm sorry?
Are you a 501c3 organization?
C7,
501c7?
which is a club.
Okay,
You'll have to look up the definition again. I think it's a club that gets their money from basically from dues and nowhere else.
okay,
But if you look it up, you'll see what I'm talking about.
okay. I'm presuming that that's, I've done it as a 501c3, so, so everything kind of fell into place, and I had to get some documents from the state to kind of prove that, that I was
Yeah.
legit. And I
Yeah.
presume do you
Yeah.
have something like that?
We have to get a certificate of good standing for grant and aid, which I think is the same thing you're looking for.
Yeah.
Yes.
So,
Which is due this year.
yeah, it was due, it's actually, they didn't want us to get it until the 2nd of May. Because the way things were landed or something.
Yeah.
So,
Okay,
But-
so you can take care of getting that.
yes, yep.
All right. And
We have to have it for grant and aid anyway, so it's not a problem.
right, exactly. Perfect. Excellent. Okay, let's see what else. What else do I have on here? So do you have like a club purpose, a document that says what your purpose is and your goals and all that kind of stuff?
Sure, it's in the bylaws, which is.
Yeah, bylaws. There you go. That would work.
Yeah.
Okay, good. I might want a copy of that because I can steal information from that to fill in some of the blanks.
So I may not have a current one easily, but I can have I have the one that is on file with Nova because we had to send them that when we joined them.
Mhm.
Not be current, but it's current enough that we didn't change much.
Okay, it would be, I guess, your board members, that your board members are up to date. Or, I mean, I might not have to give them that, but I might need to fill out some of this stuff. So maybe if you have something like that, if it's online, you can email it to me.
When's the application due?
May 30th or 31st, something like that.
So I would recommend if we can find those bylaws.
Mhm.
Let's just review them at the next meeting, make the small changes and readopt them so that there's an updated version. Because
Yeah.
if they haven't been done in 20 years,
Yeah.
15 years, however long.
We had to redo them to add the membership administrator or something like that.
Yeah, I don't know, I mean, I don't
So-
know.
That
I'm
was-
just saying.
When I was forced into the position, literally.
No,
Visiting,
you were not for it, you were volunteered.
Yeah, same thing.
volunteer.
I don't, like I said, I know they have the one, we probably have it somewhere too, just where is it? So,
Okay, I mean, I don't think I have to file those, but it is good to have them up to date anyway. I guess it's just more, for some of the topics in there, they want to know about your club, and all this stuff. So I can just steal from it and make sure that I can check all the boxes. And I'll have to get in touch with you. Like I said, if we can find a time that we can sit down together and we can just go right down, check all the boxes one way or the other, it'll
then-
save time.
so the other end of that is we can, on the match side of that, what they have done before is not this year, because you can't apply for the match RTP grant the year before, it's the year after. And GIA will let you apply for the match to be for that.
No, okay. Mhm.
So you, through the GIA side, so it's a roundabout way to get there, but they allow it.
Okay, that's cool. maybe if you have an older GIA grant that, from last year or something, you could send that to me too. I might be able to get some information off of that I can
So
drop in.
not that, so if you wanted to look at any GIA from anywhere, they keep them on the, New Hampshire Bureau of Trail site. They're all there, snowmobile side, the whole
Oh,
nine.
really? Okay. The
I'm not-
actual application.
Not sure about the application, but the award.
Yeah, the award. Yeah, I guess I would be looking at the application because I might be able to steal stuff off of it to fill in the blanks.
Yeah, they still have one up, the work from last year.
Yeah, we can get you on.
Yeah, I mean, even if you have a hard copy, when I see you, just have it, then I can refer to it.
Usually,
So
Mhm.
going back to the 10 gates, see, one of the things I'm gonna wanna do is get the valuation maps. Do you have valuation maps for the rail corridor? Probably, I would think probably not.
no, I just ride it fast.
Yeah, right, because I didn't have them until I had to do some of this work, so, now, having to have a bunch of them, I'll order them up.
Clint
So,
should have information for you though.
what's that?
Clint should have that information. That's hit, quote unquote, his trail.
Right,
He should have that. If he doesn't have that, that's not a big deal. We can get it, but he should have that.
yeah, he's given me the ones on the presidential, so he'll give me the ones on the Amanuset. I guess the thing is, so the 10 gates from Littleton, that would start on this side of Industrial Park Road, right? And there's
So.
the gate kind of pretty close.
Get on industrial park road, not touch.
Right,
Yeah,
it makes sense, that,
we
that
can't
trail's
ride.
not legal.
Yeah.
Yeah, you get the other side.
So Matt has a PDF file or something like that.
I've got a map with where the locations for each map, each gate is.
Okay, good, because that will tell me how many of the valuation maps I need to get and how far it is. Do you have a feeling? Is it going to be a mile, or 2 miles, 5 miles?
I bet you there's 10 gates in the first half of the month.
I'm guessing. I bet you get that within 3 miles.
Okay,
Max.
all right. That's good. 3 miles isn't, I can do that because I can walk it. If it was going to be, 7, 8 miles or something, I might want to ride. But 3 miles, I can go in there, with my bike or walk it and get that work done.
We have the new cyclist set, so let us know. You don't have to walk it.
Well, actually, that would be really fun. And to
Yeah.
tell you the truth, it is fun to do this because, you're looking at all these, the valuation maps were written and they were drawn up in around 1914. It's all hand drawn, and they have every culvert, what kind of culvert it is, the size, the shape, the double culvert, how high, how big, how this and that, and all the other railroad memorabilia, which, I don't see a lot of that on our trail really. But the valuation map, it becomes like a scavenger hunt to find this stuff. So if there is anybody who would like to do that with me, I would be glad to have them. And, when I was doing it on my trails up here, I think my friends just kind of say, oh yeah, we'll go help her, humor her. She's working hard, we'll give her a hand. And at the end of the day, they're like, oh, the next time you go, I want to go because it's just so much fun to find this railroad history out there. So, so maybe what I'll do is I'll contact you when I can go. I presume weekends would be when someone might be able to go, or
Or if you find a day or something, let us know. So,
okay, yeah, then find someone who'd want to go and we get in a ATV and just get it done. It certainly would be faster than walking it because I'd walk the 3 miles and I walk back, So I think in this the time I walk it, we could probably get all the work done.
right, but like I say, with the side by side, you can, even if you sat in the back seat and had all your, whatever we could go slow enough that you could basically map everything as you went.
That's right.
Just go for a short ride. and
Yeah,
then-
that's good. Because I usually, I can see it. I can jump out, take the picture of the culvert, whatever. And then what I've been doing on mine, I put them all on the ArcGIS mapping system. So you have the route and everything's all GIS coded. It's all in there. So it really works out well. I can put comments in there and stuff. And it's just, I've learned how to do it. So it's not that hard to do. It's a great way to catalog all of this stuff. So,
Yeah.
so I'll try to contact and have a buddy, somebody come out with me to do this and get it done. Again, I've got an RTP grant of my own to do. So I'm going to be a little, I'm going to try to get this started. In fact, I'm just going to start on mine on Thursday to go out and do the mapping because I think that's going to be a good day. So I kind of want to get this stuff done early because that due date comes up quickly. And I thought it was going to be in the middle of June, but they moved it up this year 2 weeks. So I'm going to be away that last week of May. So it's got to be done before I go. 2 of them, right? We can do it. We can do it.
Very good, like I say, I mean, like I say, we can figure that out later, so.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you. That answers my questions for now. There'll probably be more later.
Yeah, just email them to us and we'll go from there.
Okay, great. Thank you, everybody.
Anything else?
Yeah, just a side note, with all the work that the power companies are doing on power lines. I was called to a meeting for a bunch of Bath landowners a couple months ago, and there's been tons of issues there on the power lines, because it's a super highway now.
Yeah.
And our fishing game been writing tickets, several tickets to a couple people that were on my land on power lines. So the landowners in Bath, they're gonna be putting up gates and signs and everything on it. They're gonna try to get the power company to help out, but I know that's gonna be an issue all over, especially like say Littleton. Several landowners are very concerned about that, so.
Yeah, they are quite the roads.
Yeah, it has nothing to do with the club, but again,
Yeah.
the club's name,
Is out there.
yeah, so. But again, Bath, we're taking care of it, the landowners we are putting gates up on either end and signs, and of course, probably Craig Jellison, the ex-game warden, had a lot to do to get Christian Key up there writing tickets, so.
Are they four-wheelers or are they
Yeah.
Jeeps?
Four-wheelers and motorcycles.
Yeah, they should be writing them then.
Yep, the ATVs are primarily all modified exhaust, because Greg's saying it's they're waking them up. And he's not the guy to
No.
yes,
Nope.
so,
You get too many connections.
yep,
So I know we didn't mention it, and we talked about buying a side-by-side.
Oh,
So
yeah.
people know, we bought
We did
it's
one.
a 2019 Polaris Ranger 500 or 570. It's a 6-seater, so it's the wider style, with full bench seats, so that, and a dump body, so there's enough room to take people out.
right,
Drive them around, show them what we need, can also tow some stuff, so.
put tools in the dump body part.
Yep. Yep,
Right,
bought it over in Vermont. It has a brand new engine in it with a warranty, so. It only had what, 15 to 20 miles on the new one, so. Yeah.
It was a long time coming.
Yeah.
I didn't go through all this stuff, but you would see Mark took out $6,000, Mark put back $6,000.
yeah,
Mark took out $6,000, put back $6,000.
Yeah, it's,
I literally had one all bought, go pay for it, and the guy misunderstood the deal that was going on, because I was working in Hardwick. I told him I'd call him at lunch, tell him, hey, I'm still interested in where can I meet you? Didn't get a chance to call at lunch, got busy, called him at 5 o'clock on my way out of Hardwick, and it sold it.
yeah, so,
And then it showed up on Craigslist again, and then it showed up on Craigslist again,
Yeah.
and then
yeah, we looked at a lot of different ones. This one
it actually,
was in good shape.
at the end of it, I think that's the best one that we looked at.
Yeah, so we've bought, some smaller things, just like mirrors for the side of it, because it didn't have any mirrors. I already had a roof and a windshield on it. So we didn't have to buy that. We'll put a winch on the front of it just
Just because
to move the tree out of the way.
it'll be registered as a maintenance machine, so we can grade with it.
Yeah,
Every time it goes out, we'll grade, whatever. Don't we can get paid for it.
you've been Hammerland lately, someone mentioned it's like a 40-foot mud hole there, it's really deep.
I haven't been up in there.
No.
So there's a trench across, when you go up the road, you get to the top where he's got his landing, there's
Yeah.
probably a 3 foot deep trench all the way across that whole part.
Well, this is up on the trail
Yeah,
system.
the trench system itself.
Yeah.
Yeah, we haven't been up in.
I had, one of the guys walked it when he was looking at the Mount Eustace Trail and said there's something like a 40-foot mud hole there, it's several feet deep.
When did they walk?
Within the last 2 weeks.
I can get with Eric, cause I know I had talked with him, I had spoken with him.
I mean, it might be fun, but
Yeah, but I don't want people getting in for something either and getting him and stuff and everybody else getting this stuff.
I had spoken with Eric and he said he was, because that one, on the backside, but where it goes along the power line,
yeah,
that
I
hill,
think,
that got washed out pretty good.
Yeah.
And so I know he was planning on going in and fixing some of that, so I don't know if he plans.
we had someone roll over on that hill this summer in the group I went with.
Yeah.
You sent me the picture.
Yeah, so I know that that was one of the hills that because we gave gravel for that.
Yeah.
Gonna get that fixed, but I don't know if he's getting up there.
Right.
I know he
Yeah.
tends to wait till it gets a little
We can
drier.
put some more into that too if we need to.
Yeah, we can.
I'd much rather have it safe up there in the dirt. Much rather not have a
Well,
full.
that hill specifically, just because that's that's kind of just the,
Out of
the
the
main
main
kind of
loop, yeah.
around versus. I understand if you go over the logs or rocks, that's an extreme trail.
But you're wanting to go on that. is what I'm saying.
Yeah, that's one of the trail systems I'd like to get up around May, beginning of May, somewhere around there to
Early.
do another trail. Get together to
Yep.
finish signing it, because I know we'd started and
We signed the outside loop and said full time.
yeah, but it's been 2 years since we did that, I think, so it's still.
Or whenever.
Yeah, I just,
Also, we need signs at the parking lot that handle land to, so people don't go to,
Yes, I have those and for both ends.
because I've been there several times, people get on, go right, because they want to go towards Whitefield, and say, no, you can't go there.
Oh, your son's on that other.
You're there and across the road, so they don't go in, they have to go the roadway.
Yeah.
Especially before the ATV club gets there.
yeah, we talked about with Clint putting an actual metal sign up there with arrows.
Yep.
Scroll back up here.
Yeah, because we need.
Because we gotta replace the one at the top of the trail too, because somebody spray painted it and tagged it.
He was telling me that's not him.
Where it drops back down, yeah, so
He was telling me that wasn't his sign that was provided by.
that was the tenant, but either way.
I don't care, give me 3 signs, or whatever, give me the signs. We'll get them put up, go from there, I can probably get the paint off that one side anyway, we just drag marker paint, so.
But
But definitely at the parking lot, so people don't go.
yes, with the trailer.
Yeah.
We can put that on the first gate, basically, hang it right on the gate, no ATV, no OHRVs, closed OHRVs.
Yeah, I think it needs to be right across from Eric's parking lot, because the gates.
I'm talking about the Whitefield one.
Oh,
Yeah.
First gate that you come to.
Yeah.
Basically, hang a
I
wooden
mean,
sign.
I put one at the road and at the gate
I've got
on both of them.
I've got the ones that we made last year for that, sign for the, across the street.
Yeah.
Basically, it literally says drive up the road,
Yeah.
right on the sign.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, we'll get something.
I'd like to talk to town of Wilton and see if they'll pull one of those guardrails, the curved guardrail out.
Pull it back.
Pull one out and take that out and let us fill it. So you can get side by side around that corner without having to.
yeah, it's pretty sure.
It's tight, especially with one of those long.
Yeah, well, with our machine,
Yeah, the issue, it's gonna be a
Yeah, you get 3-4 point jig there.
but like I say, if they let us pull one straight one, they move the curved one back to it.
Yeah.
And then pull the post out and just fill it. Yeah, whatever, fill in the hole and that's where you're gonna go in. So,
I'm still trying to work with the landowner, the guy that owned Pepper Free. Because now there's no gas, your styles.
No gas extinguisher.
There's nothing.
Yep.
And there's nothing up that way.
right. But it's been, that's it.
Yeah, I mean, the only other thing that we could look at doing, and I mean, the whole point of the bridge was for this, is to talk to Town Littleton to go down to the road and then across where the old bridge at the end of, it used to be Deer Court, but the one that goes across by Corey's gun shop there.
Well, that was,
That was designed for that,
that was originally for ATVs to get into town.
to get into town, but you gotta get permission to go down.
There's no gas.
Saranac,
station.
Saranac, no, but you get at least some food down there.
Domino's Pizza is gonna be open soon.
Okay, you can't get to the airport because that's all the part of that property.
You can't get, but you'd have to be on town road. is what we're
Oh,
saying.
Yeah, you have to come, we have to come down by. the
Riverside
station.
Drive.
Yep, and then take Riverside down to the bridge.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to get the Harbor Freight and then just to go from, the other thing is to talk to the state and the town and see if they'd let us go to Maple Fields and just,
Well,
We have to come.
we go around,
what's that?
You gotta come to Farm Street there too.
Yeah, so that's
Yeah.
just that small
That's
section, because
correct,
you
yeah.
get a couple gas stations and a couple
Yep.
food joints. but-
Yep.
because we go around the old dump or whatever, those two gates and stuff there. So again, you come out right at the bridge, so you don't have to go to the first part of the road.
Yeah, well,
But we're on that road anyways to go up, so.
and I
there's no
talked,
difference.
when I talked to the police chief and the fire chief, they'd rather us just go to the light, use the light,
Yep.
go straight across into the parking lot, and then cut over and, but last time I spoke to the guy that owns the Harbor Freight lot, he was not interested, so.
The town allowed us to go down Dell's Road with snowmobiles this winter because of the work they did on the Armory Trail.
Yeah.
So again, that was, we talked to Eric something for the town building and Paul Smith and, yep, no problem.
Yeah.
Which was shocking because Dell's Road is very heavy usage.
Yeah, well, that's why we talked about using just the road from Harbor Freight lot to Maple Fields and allowing OHRVs to travel that small section of road.
Well, the snowmobile trail goes behind them all.
Yeah, I mean, if we can't get permission from them to at least try to use the road to do something, I mean, it's a shame that you get there, but it's a dead end, there's nothing, can't do anything.
So you really don't need Harbor Freight if you're going where the snowmobiles do. Alongside the road and on the little grass stretch and straight across.
Yeah, but the police chief and fire chief already said they don't want them doing that because you're going up the wrong side of the road.
No, just cross the road, take the snowmobile trail behind all the.
Yes.
So
fast
that's
food places.
It's like a metal sign post that's.
Yeah,
back
gas
there.
station, yeah.
That used to be the gas station there.
Yeah, but that property is still owned by the guy that owns Harbor Freight.
Oh, is it?
Ah, so that's where your issue is.
Mm-hmm,
It's not the snowmobile trail, that's,
I bet it is.
we got snowmobile permission,
Yeah,
so.
I don't know who,
But the trail goes across the road there and then behind
yes.
all
All that stuff. It goes
Well,
all the way
that's,
down.
that's why I wanted to go across the parking lot and then just connect into
Yep.
your section there
Yep.
and then follow that. I know it gets a little
Yep.
swampy back in there too, though, so I
the, but
don't.
it is, wait till there, you'd have to put a bridge in.
But we can fix that area. I mean, we can put gravel into it.
Yeah, so I'd like to try and do something in there, so you can get somewhere in Littleton,
It makes sense.
but,
And then, like I say, after I get Marshall fixed, I'd like to work on Moulton's Mountainside. Cause there's 3 more landowners in there that are okay with signing.
is Ken still on?
No, he's-
Yeah, I was gonna say, I still think, I don't know how much more work we have on Moulton's property.
Yeah.
But we really need to, if Ken feels that it's ready, we need to map it. We need to map
Well,
it,
we can.
we need to map it to get there, because I could tell you, I couldn't find my way there if I
Well,
wanted to. Cause there's no signage, there's nothing like,
well, that's the other reason is, the other reason it hasn't really officially been opened any, as far as that goes. It hasn't been mapped. It's been sparsely signed. To get there, you can't get there. Unless you're kind of an expert guy to go over ledges and stuff like that. Like I said, you're gonna bang all the way through that.
Yeah.
They're talking about using the power line, which. Theirs probably all right, because Dave Long's. Who opened up Mountain Lakes. It's his ground, so
Yeah.
that's probably, that section's all right to use, as long as I get his permission, obviously. And then the other end of that, and it changes off the rail, off the power lines. Or the second set of land in there that's Ron Hurley's sister, which I got the permission from her, they already go through that.
Yeah, I wouldn't even know how to get from Augie's, I would have no idea how to get over.
Well, that's part of the reason I put the arrow where I did for Tewksbury Road. You have to know it's there, and then you can see it.
Right, but if we're gonna open that to traffic.
Yeah.
There needs to be signage at the,
Oh, yeah,
Augie's
all of it, yes.
facing that way, not
And that's part
up
of
over the
it.
knoll, so you know it's there.
And that's part of the reason why I left the open sign on the bottom of that.
Yeah.
To add information on the side.
Yeah.
A map to get there, all of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's fine, it's like I said,
We just gotta, like I say, you can get there, Mountain Lakes guys can get there all, no big deal.
Yeah.
But the problem is getting from Augie's to Mountain Lakes to get there.
Yeah.
And then once we figure out what road on Mountain Lakes that we're gonna use,
that's
we're gonna
fine.
have to basically, all of the rest of them are open. But my suggestion was put local traffic only, local ATV traffic only on the ones that are off of that. That way you're not really supposed to, but you can still use it.
Yeah.
It's
I don't think that people are gonna go over there and ride, most of them probably don't even know that Mountain Lakes are open for regular.
They don't.
use. Yeah.
But my thing is if, say we take Lakeside and Spearside.
Yeah.
All the rest of those roads off it. Then you put a sign up that says local ATV traffic only.
Yep.
That way, if you do see somebody going down there, it's probably somebody that lives there.
Right.
Is what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
But there's like another. I think Maxon's got like 45, 50 acres. And then there's another 2 landowners over there that are probably that or more. Each, so there's a plenty of room over there. If you look at it on the map, you can see Max's fields. And then you see the green thumb and there's woods all through the middle. That's what we're talking about. It's extensive. Kind of like.
Yeah.
Kind of like the other one we're talking about. Myers property, where you guys have a bridge, or I call it the antique house over here.
Oh, to me,
Two fields on either side used to be tic-tac-toe and, Quonset hut that's falling apart.
okay,
A little further, the next place up is like, is a huge antique looking house. There's 400 acres on the other side of the road from the house. Or you can come off the rail trail across the road too, which has plenty of line of sight, so we're good. And then there is no wheelchair area, it's Lisbon's, but. I mean, I've never been over there, but with 400 acres, there must be someplace to ride over there. The problem is maintaining it after you get it, as you guys all know.
The only other thing that I had under new business or what I'd like to bring up is, I know we mentioned it a little bit last year, but I don't know if anybody knows of anybody that can build just a trail.
He's gonna do it.
Perfect.
At the door, in the back of the truck.
Yeah, so remember, I don't know if you remember, the front of Augie's had a piece of plexiglass in front of it.
Yeah.
That was never hinged or anything like that, you have to take it all apart every time.
Yep.
He has a door that's kind
Sweet.
Yeah.
of in front of
Probably if we want to change, like the little info sheet that I think should go in there, way easier from having to take it apart.
it. Just you go flip to the bottom and flip it open and change what you want.
Yeah.
Poor guy's been to North Haverhill 3 times.
could do that to the kiosk at the Littleton there at the bottom of the hill.
Well,
Come off the road there, that's all trashed anyways.
is that,
Kiosk.
you guys,
Is that yours?
that's,
It probably is mine.
I mean, I just don't know who.
So let me, let's, it's easier because it's here.
Yeah.
Let's do the one, so the one at the bottom of the hill.
Yeah.
Where you're talking. You were talking about making, I was told you let's make it smaller, so I
Yeah,
need
yeah.
one the same size as what that one is, or similar. And we'll split it in half, you guys use half of it, we'll use half of it, it's winter, summer, so.
Yeah.
You guys use it in the winter and use it in summer.
Yeah, I mean,
And that
it's
way-
it's the same trail essentially.
Well, that's what I mean, you know, we'll use our stuff in the summer. You know, or signage wise, put you guys on one side, we'll go on the other.
I mean, you guys, again, if we get the other property, then again, now our signage will be down there.
On the other end, but at least you have that one, you can still use that sign.
Sure, yep, you can do that, so,
Yeah.
sure.
That way. I mean, it used to be us against them and you against us and all that at one point, but it's not anymore.
We're all for the same cause now.
Right, yeah.
Just to keeping trails open. So,
Right, so,
yeah, and I still got a bunch of those 4x4s.
yeah, that's what I'm saying, so. He works at Ernie, obviously, but, you're in Littleton,
Yeah, right on, North Littleton, right?
so. Yeah,
So I got a bunch of the 4x4s we bought years ago, so.
yeah, we bought those to change the posts on the rail trail. And then Clint went through and changed all the ones that are broken rail trail, so now we get 4.
I think we got 21.
Okay, like I said, there's enough there. We were talking about rebuilding the one in August too, it started.
Yeah, should be a little wobbly.
Yeah.
But we looked at it, we can probably change it without,
Dismantling it.
basically just change
Post.
the uprights.
Yeah.
And if we change one at a time, we can use one to hold the other side up and then.
What
It's
else,
all screwed together.
what else do we need for material?
I'll make up a list and give it to you.
Yeah, that way we can, cause it'd be nice to get,
The roof guy said he put the roof on it for us, that did Augie's roof, I told him I'm gonna have three of those.
yep,
He says, that's fine, just drop the roof off sometime and I'll just put the material to it. And obviously pay him a little bit more, but he'd be willing to do those with a problem.
yeah, just having those at the ground would be nice. But other people know who's maintaining the trails,
QR code, which would be good, till they change it again.
every time we can exchange.
What's that?
That's all good.
You can see that one at Augie's from the road now.
Yeah.
Really,
Can you?
It's nice.
Yeah, good.
like you could read it from the.
And people know that
That's who it is.
it's not the towns, it's,
I have to put, so I still have the brass Augie's plaque, which. I thought it had screws pulling it from the back, it's got studs that are about that long. And all I did was silicone it to the front. And of course, I'm trying to figure out how to get it apart, I took the back off and left it, I'm like, oh my god, what that? It pried off, but oh my god, and then you have no idea what you're into. So we'll take the brass plaque and put it somewhere inside the pavilion
Yeah.
at some point, so.
cool.
Cause that's his likeness on it, and all that, so.
Yeah.
But that's all I had.
Yeah.
Good.
Make a motion. to-
I do have another
Mary?
question. I have another question, sorry.
Nope, jump in.
Just again, so I could get started on the narrative on this grant. Right now, the reason for changing these gates over is because the ones that are there are very heavy. Do you have any other reasoning so I can make a compelling request here besides just being heavy? Are they askew or broken or any other thing I can add to the heavy?
Some of them are getting rusted pretty bad.
Ben, some of them are bent in.
Some of them are bent in.
Are you gonna make them any wider for the larger vehicles?
Well,
Can't comment on that right yet. I'd love to make them a lot wider, but I don't know if we can.
So we need to find that out, because that would make a statement that that they were gonna either stay the same or that they would be, however many inches wider. So,
Yeah.
I guess that's a Clint question.
It would be a quick question, unless that's in your quote for the.
it's not, the width is not, in the gates themselves are all standard width. It's how far away from the gate they put that
Single post.
second single post.
Mhm.
And yeah, that's a Clint question, because I'd love to put them at like 70 inches.
I'd like to put them at 70,
But-
I'd like to put them at 73.
Yeah, but,
Now, I don't like big machines, but
but
I don't either, but at least you don't have to listen.
the thing is,
dated.
I know,
It's one of those things though. that-
Well, I look at it this way, we had an Armax come up for the, what was that? We did scavenger hunt in Armax. And I looked at that, I'm like, he ain't making it through that gate. His wheels did, his fender flares folded in.
Yeah.
And sprung out on the other side, and I'm like,
But it's one of those things though that, to me, at some point, it's like everything else, you kinda gotta go with the times and.
Yeah.
They're making them bigger every day, it's just
That's why I
nature,
bought the 50-inch machine. So
yeah,
I could
but,
fit it in place.
but it's one of those.
Yeah.
Things that the state at some point is gonna have to
Right.
address.
I'm old school.
Yeah.
they shot down to 3,000 pounds. Increased to 3,000
Oh,
pounds,
good.
which, what that, 3,000 pounds, you can put a rock shoot through there. Cause that's
But-
under width,
What's it really matter?
doesn't,
What's it really matter, the width or the weight, because we're riding them on the roads anyways.
Yeah.
If it's okay to ride it on the road, why are we so concerned?
Yeah.
The rail bed is solid.
Yeah.
That is
And that's
not,
why
the
that,
base of
It's
that
just
is.
passive.
yeah, it's passing each other, but that one's wide enough where it wouldn't
Yeah,
matter.
but look how wide the groovers are in the winter time.
9 feet.
I mean, it's,
And you pass a snowmobile, but you don't have a side by side. So unless you get, what is that thing? Did they have one that's like 2-seater?
We have a Bobcat.
yeah, but,
Side by
but
side.
even the track side by side, you can't ride on a snowmobile train.
Cause you're going to get the inside of
Yeah.
the.
So.
We have a Bobcat side by side for grooming as well as a Tucker and 2 sleds.
What do you like better?
I love the Bobcat.
Figured that'd be the answer, but
No,
it just makes sense.
But yeah, so that would be a Clint question, I'm sorry, we really didn't answer.
Okay. Yeah, and so you mentioned about the post, and that's what, obviously is the distance that you're talking about. Is the post gonna be new also?
Yes.
Yes.
It'll all
Okay.
be-
Because
Yeah.
the gate's gonna swing around and attach to that post when the gate's open for snowmobiles, is that correct?
So it actually doesn't attach to that one, so it's weird, there's 3 posts. And there's a wide section, which is, when you see it on the bike, is always closed.
Mhm.
And then the single post that you go through on the bike.
Did you have post where you go through?
Yep,
A post you have a post that the gate's connected to. A post that the gate goes into.
Yeah.
You have a post on the outside of that, and then you have a post here that when you swing it, it locks to.
Okay, all
yeah, I
right.
think,
So all of that's gonna be new.
so I believe, and don't quote me on this,
I had one.
I think are there new gates on the presidential, or are they all older gates?
You know, the old one slide.
No, the old gates, the old gates don't have one on the side, it's not gonna do.
Oh,
Do you know
The
if,
new ones are further up.
you know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't go that way.
So basically, if you're down this way, if you looked at one of the gates above
They had-
the parking area heading towards Whitefield for the intersection,
In the winter time, it's.
that's we'll have an exact same gate as that one.
Okay, the same thing, okay, that's fine.
It's the exact same manufacturer. And if you need to, I can take a picture, because I'm right there all the time.
Yeah, I've got pictures of it, because when they went in, I took pictures. I even got them before they painted them. So, so one of the other things is, we've had ATVs go around both sides of the gate. They've just gone into the trees or around. Will you be doing anything to try to keep them going through the gate? So I'm just trying to think of other things here that I can add that, we got that big pile of gravel at the gate. You're gonna get rid of that, to smooth it out. And then all these other places where there's kind of 2 ways to go around the gate, official way and the bushwhack way. Are you thinking of doing anything with that?
Yeah, it's the official way, and it's the too big, or it's easier to go this way because it's wider way.
Right, exactly. So is there do you have any plan with that?
It can roll this thing. I mean, we fixed the one that was in,
This one crossing,
yeah, that was fun.
big rocks there. I see.
Yeah, and topsoil. I fixed that one. And the reason,
It does not mean. You could stop them from going. In some
Yeah.
places, but the new gates,
New gates you won't have to because it'll be wire. I mean,
well, you could make it wider to stop it.
There's the idea, to make the official way a little wider, and then they're not gonna use the bushwhack way. So,
Yeah.
okay, well, any other ideas that you have? Because then I can sing a compelling song, you know, because if I just say they're heavy, the grant reviewer goes, well, you know, suck it up, you know? So if I have other reasons to add to it, I can market this a little bit more.
So,
again, might be, a lot of them, the posts are in, so again, to straighten them out, you might as well just,
Pull
yeah.
Right.
redo it.
yeah,
And-
so a lot of them are not sure if they're the ones we're changing, but a lot of them have, their size has moved. So in other words, they were originally set for 67 inches and some of them are not.
Mhm.
They leaned in.
They're a little lean.
Okay, leaning or, you know, askew somehow. Okay, that's all good. That I can use all that. Because they've been in there for how many years?
Many?
Probably since,
When
99,
so 99 is when.
2000, when they pulled up the rail originally.
Yeah, so our club was founded in 99, so somewhere close to that, because that's
It
why,
had been right around 99, 2000.
Okay,
that's why they had that, because both rail trails at that point.
Well, Littleton, I think it was the Littleton upper portion was purchased in 99 with the TAP funding from 99, so.
Right.
Yeah, it had to be 98, 99, so.
okay, all right, that's great, because I think that's another compelling thing. They've been there for 25, 26 years.
Yeah.
And they are starting to, well, just like the rest of us, right? You know, just a little leaning here, so, okay, good. Well, again, the next time we talk, if you come up with anything else that I can, make it compelling.
Are you attending the RTP grant in Lancaster or the other?
I have to do it in Concord, because that night I have a Jackson board meeting and
Right.
I need to attend it. So
That's
I'm
fine.
gonna have to drive, unfortunately, down to Concord.
I was just curious, but so you're gonna be in Concord anyway?
Right,
Okay, it makes sense. So I'm gonna wind up in the Lancaster one again.
good,
would-
yeah.
Need one.
Mhm.
We should have had you come to the Grant Aid, one of the Grant Aid one in Lancaster, just so you can see how it works.
Yeah, at some point I should, to see how that works, because I I don't have an opportunity to do that, but again, being a member of the clubs, I can help out, I could try.
So next year when they have it in Lancaster, I'll send you an invitation.
Okay, all right, that's good, because it's all good to learn, so,
Yeah,
all right, good. I'm done with questions, sorry.
I went for a refresher course and I had an ulterior motive. I needed a piece of paper signed.
Yeah. Well, what I'll try and do is I'll try and fill it out as much as I can.
Okay,
And I might, I'll try to contact you to head out and do it, because then I'd like to know the distance so I can apply for the natural and cultural and historic and the bats and all the other endangered species out there. On mine, there was a lynx that had been sighted. They thought they saw a lynx 20 years ago in that area. Oh, and that's a big deal, oh my God. It probably wasn't even a lynx, but I had, the paperwork.
Yeah.
So hopefully we don't have anything like that.
Well, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay, all right. Take care, everybody.
all right, thank you very much.
Thank you. Make a motion to adjourn.
At
Second.
8:30. Anybody opposed? Christine, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Hey, Matt, don't forget to post the meeting recording, please.
I'll try and do it tomorrow. If I don't remember, bug me, please.
I will. Thank you.
Thank you. I was looking for the stop button.